Archiving files. Now, archiving files means actually backup and restore. Taking a backup is also called archiving the files. Now, first, if we want to archive the file, what the meaning of backup? First, what is the meaning of backup? Now, backup means what? It is very simple. Just having a copy, having another copy of your data. So what we say here is archiving files means taking backup of files. Now what is the backup? So backup means what? Backup means simple, having another copy of your data. Another copy of your data. The data which is important for you. So we can say important data. So having a different copy of your data is what? A backup. And putting that data, the copy, into a secure location so that when you lose your original data, then you can recover it from that stored data from your archive. Archive is like storing the data into a archive, like a backup. So how we'll do this? We can do this by using just a copy. Like we can copy a file, simple. We can just take a file and copy it in somewhere where we feel like it is a secure location. So it is as simple as it is. But copying a file is different. If you copy the file normally by using the copy command, so it changes the attributes of the data. That means when we copy any data to another location, so it changes its attribute. Now attributes means what? Attributes means what? The informations of that file, like the location of the file, the permission information of the files, and all the other information. So it changes according to the destination. So it changes the attributes according to the destination. Like if you are saving the file somewhere, so it will have a attribute based on that destination location. So your attributes will be changed according to the destination where you're copying the file. So we cannot say it is like a copy, it is like a backup, because we are copying it. So when you copy, it changes the attributes, it changes the information about the file. So it is not like backup. So we don't want to change the attributes of the files. When we copy, when we have a backup, so we want a backup same as it was at that time when we took the backup. So I don't want to change any information about the files. I just wanted to have a file as it is, like where there was at the time of backup, when it was like that permissions, that informations, that attributes, the locations of the file. So I want everything should be as it is. So when I recover the file, I will get with all its attributes. So we can say backup is like a copy, or like copying your file. But when you copy the file with the normal copy command, it will do what? It will just create another copy, and when it copies, then it changes the attributes of the file based on the destination where you're copying. So it is not, we cannot say like it is a backup. So backup means having a copy as it is when we took the backup. So we don't use normal copy command. So we use what? we use another command which is used for taking a backup of normal file. So we use a command tar. So we use tar command to take backup of any files, and it will do what? It will take a backup of the file and also with all the attributes. So it will take a backup of any files with attributes. So the attributes will not be removed, or it will not be changed. So it will save it will save like that, and it creates a file. It will take a backup of any files with the attributes and store it into .tar file. So it store it into .tar file. And after that we can do what? We can save the file into any, we can save this file, we can save the tar file into any location, and basically we take backups into tape drives. So it is also supported in tape drives, so we can take this backup, we can copy this backup into any location. So after we create tar file, we can save it into any backup device. Now backup device, for example, mostly we use tape drive. Mostly we use tape drives. So this is what we can do, and this is what actually a backup. So in Linux we have a command tar to take a backup of any files, and it will take it with all its attributes. So now we'll see how we can do this and how we can create a tar file from our backup of any files. So we can take a backup of any files or even a directory. That means taking a backup of single files is like it will, if you are having hundreds of files, it is difficult. So you will take a backup of the directory which consists of those hundred of files. So basically we take a backup of directories. So we can take a backup, we can take a tar file, we can create a tar file for any files and any directories also. Let's see that. Okay, so let's see, we have some files here, and I have some directories also. Okay, so I want to take a backup of any file. So I may have a file here. So let's say I have this file out.txt, and I want to take a backup of this file. So what I will do, I will use a tar file. So whether it is a file or whether it is a directory, we can take a backup, we can create a tar file for these files or even a directory also. But mostly we do it for the directory, because with the directory we can create, we can use a lot of files and we can create a backup of those files. So this file I want to take a backup. So what I will do, I can use the copy command, But remember what I said, when you use a copy command, when you copy the file, it will not save, it will not copy as it is. It will change the attributes of the file. Attributes of the file, that means these attributes. The attributes are like the time of creation, modification, the size will always be there, like owner, group owner, permission, link, and also the location where the file was. So these are the attributes, and it will change when we do copy. So we don't want that. We want the backup, that means we want it should be same when it should be same when the time of the at the time of the backup. So what I will do here, I will use tar. So for using tar, we have a command tar. Now taking a backup means creating a tar file out of your data. So for that you will use -c. -c is to create. Then you will use one more option, v. Now v is for verbose. This v gives you verbose information. If I don't give v, it will still work, but it will not show me the detail, like what it is doing and what it is taking, what backup it is taking, and information actually. So if you don't give v, it will not tell you anything. The v is to just show you the more information at the time of taking the backup or running this command. So this v is also available in other commands also. This v means verbose, and it shows the detailed information about the command when command runs. So when we run this command and we try to create a tar file out of a data, then what it will do, it will show you the information about it. And it is important here because if you are creating a backup, if you are using a tar file, you are creating a tar file of your data, and data is more than like it is 10 GB, 20 GB, maybe it is TB. So it will take time. It will take time to take your backup or create a tar file. So if you don't give this v, so you will not see anything. That means you run the command and your terminal is gone, and you just wait for the time it will complete. And if you see nothing, then you will get confused that what is happening, is it running, not running. So you may get confused. So this v will show you that what it is doing actually. So mostly v goes with other commands also to give you the verbose information. Now the next option I will give is f. Now this f means file, and file means I'm going to mention now the file name which I want to create out of my data. Now name could be any. You can give any name. You can give name like the date and time, like I'm creating this backup on 7th of Jan, and or 7th of Jan, Thursday, 9:41 AM. So I can give like this so that I will remember that what time or date, or suppose why I took this backup. So like this is, I'm not giving space in a file name, it is not supported, so I'm using underscores. So I can give it like this is important data, or whatever. You can give a name so that you can differentiate between other backups. So if you are taking multiple backups, if you are creating multiple tar files, so you can differentiate with them. You can give a name according to that. So I'm going to create it for the file name out.txt. So I will say like it is a backup of out. Oh, it becomes something else. So it is that maybe I will say just out. I'm giving the same name, out.txt. This is the original name of the file. Now what, I will add one more extension here, and it is not an extension. For Linux it is a name, .tar. So this is the file I'm going to create out of my data. I have not mentioned the data till, okay, I have not mentioned any data till now. Now I will give a space, and then I will mention the data which I want to take a backup, and that is what, this file. So the command is what, tar, then C, option C is to create, and V is for verbose, and F is for the tar file. And which file? So I'm mentioning this file. So this is the backup file I want to create, and I want to create this backup file for this data, for this file. Now I can give any name here. I gave a same name, but I can give any name. But I added this .tar here. Now why I did this? Why I added this .tar? It is not related to anything. It is not related to this tar file. It is not related to the tar. It is actually what? It is not an extension, because in Linux there is no extensions. It is actually for us. So whenever we see this file, I can easily guess that this is what, a tar file. It is not a normal file. It is easily, I can say it is what, a tar backup file. And for that I'm giving this extension. And if I don't give it, it will still work. Remember, it is not compulsory. It is not, Linux don't have any extension, and it will not extension. It will take it as a name. So for Linux it is a name, and for us it is just an identification for us that this is what, a tar file. So if I don't give it, it will still work, but I'm giving it so that I can identify easily that this is what, a tar file. So this is the file which I'm going to create, and this is my original data which I am taking a backup. And now I will put enter, and because it is verbose, it is showing you here the file which is taking, it is taking the backup, and that is what, a single file. So it is showing a single file here. If it is a multiple files in a directory, then it will show all the files. So you will understand that now it is taking a backup of this file, now it is taking a backup of this file, now it is taking a backup of this file. So if the files are very big in size and it will take long time, then still you can say that okay, it is still running, because you can understand, you can feel like it is okay, it is running, because it is showing that what it is doing. It is doing some files backup, and it is showing that which files backup it is taking. So this V is very important for us, otherwise we will get impatience, and we can do what, we can even cancel the process also if we don't know that what is happening. We may feel like it is stuck, or we don't know, the machine is not running or something, or it is hanged. So we don't want to do that, so we use what, V option, verbose. Now it has taken the backup. Now when you check, and also I have not given any path, so it was local path. That means it is created in the present directory. So I'm not using any path here also, and any path here also, because the file is also in the same directory where I am, and also I'm creating the tar file in the same directory where I am. So when I give ll command here, I can see that this is my tar file, this is my original file, and this is the tar file which I created out of that file. And this is normal file, it is a color is black, and the tar file color is red. And there is some other files also in Linux which shows in red color. So if you want to differentiate between those files, then you should have given this extension here, .tar. So if you see two red files, so you can identify that this is what, tar file, and that is other file. So for that we give this extension, otherwise no need for it. It is no need. Now I will remove this file. So for example, I lost my data here. Before that, this is your tar file. You can save it, you can put it anywhere in your location, like your tape drive, or you can save it in your flash, you can save it in your whatever the location you feel safe for you. Mostly we took it into the tape drives. You can save them there, and then when you lose original data, then you can get it from there and you can restore your data. So for example, I lost my data here, so what I will do, I will remove that file recursively, forcefully, without any question answer, delete. Now original file is not there. So if I check, the original file is not there, but still I have a tar file. So what I will do here, I want to recover it from here, from this file. Remember, it will recover with all its attributes. So now what the command is to recover, the command is tar again hyphen, and this time I will give x. Now x is for extract, so it is going to extract from the tar file. Again I am giving v is for verbose, f is for file. Now which file? So I will mention the file which I created with that tar command, and this is the file which has my backup. Then I will put enter, and again because of v, it is showing me what it is doing, and it is recovering, it restoring my file. And when I check it, now I can see again, and you can see with your whole attributes. You can see the date also, it is still showing December 1, and the time, it has not changed. And if I copy the file somewhere, then it will get the new date, but it is still showing the same date, same permissions, same everything, because we are restoring it from the tar file, because it is stored it with the attribute. Now this is what a normal file I did, but we can do it for any or multiple files, and we can do it for the directory. So what I will do here, I will create a directory first here. Data. Now I will put some file into it. All the files which starts with G go into data. Okay, I'm moving it, and you can see now. Okay, all the files with the, I will move this file E star into data. Okay, I will move this ls files into data. Okay, I will move this up file into data. So I'm getting some data into my file, data into my data directory. Now I'm moving this file into data. Okay, I will move this also, f files into data. Okay, now what? Okay, one more, all file into data. Okay, one more, this one is into data. Okay, almost all. Now what, I have a directory which has all these files. So I have a directory with these files. Now I want to take a backup of that directory. So same, I can do it with the same way like I did it for the file. Command will not change, it will be same, tar -cvf Then you will mention the name of the tar file with the .tar extension, and then you will mention your original data. And you can see here, because I give V, it is showing that I'm taking a backup of these files. Now when you check, you can see your tar file here, and this is your original data. And now again, if I remove this file, if I lost my original data, I can recover it from this tar file. So I will remove this original data directory. Now I don't have an original directory, I lost my data. Now I can recover it by using tar-xvf, and this is the file name of tar. And when I press enter, now again you can see it is showing you what it is doing. And now when you see, you can see the directory is there, and also you can see data inside that directory. It is restoring everything. One more thing, if you create multiple tar files out of single data or multiple data, so this will be your file. And remember, now it is a file, whether you create it from file or you create it from directory, it will create as a file, it is not a directory. So when you create a tar file out of a directory, it will become file, it will not remain directory. It is a normal file. Now if you want to see what is inside your tar file, that means if I know that I am having this data.tar file, but I don't know what is inside this tar file, I don't know what files are inside this tar file, then I can do what? I can list the tar file, I can list it to see what is inside it. For that I will use tar-tvf. Now T is for list, it is the list, that means it is the T of that list. So you can give what? T, again VF for verbosely, and then F is for file. So you want to see which file? So I want to see this tar file, what is inside this tar file. So when I press enter, you can see what files are inside this tar file. You can see this is the directory, and then in that directory we have these files, and you can see it is storing with the path. So if you are having multiple directories and path, that means if you are having directory inside directory or directory inside directory, if you are having a structure of directory, so it will take a backup according to that also. You can see the permissions, ownership, modification date, time, everything it is stored, and it's stored same as it is at the time of backup. So this is what a tar command to take a backup of any file or directory. So to take a backup of your data, the command is tar, then -cvf, and then you will mention the tar file name, and then you will mention the original data which you want to take a backup. And then that means what? C means create, V means verbose, and F means files. And if you want to restore, then you will use T-xvf and xvf here, and then you will mention the name of your tar file. So X means extract, and V for verbose, and F for file. And if you want to see what is inside the tar file, like what the files you have in that tar file, so you can do it by using this tar-tvf command. Now T here is for list, and V again for verbose and files. Okay, now when you take a backup, when you create a tar file, you see here in this file, when I created the tar file here, what it did here, this original file size is what? 23/428. Now when I create the tar file, the size of that file is what? It is 3720. That means what? It is actually more than the original file. It is showing the size more than the original file. Now why it is showing more than the original file? Now let's check this data. If we check the size of the data directory, the command is what? Now why these size are different? So because actually what? It is having tar information in it. That means when we create the tar file, so because it stored the file into the tar, it is stored it here, so it is stored with the information of this file, attributes of the file. So because of that, it has some additional information, and that is why what? It increases the size. It is not much, it is very less. It increases very less size. Because the size of this file is very small, we can see the difference here. But if the size of the file is big, it is like suppose it is in MBs or GBs, then we will not see any difference. But it just increasing the size here because the size of this file is very small. Let's check the size of the directory and the tar file. So if you want to see the directory size, then you will use disk use -sh and the directory name, and the size of the directory is what? 68k 68 kb. Now let's check the size of this tar file. So I will give lh and this tar file. So it is actually 50 kb. So it is not like that it is increasing the size. Here only we see the difference because the size of the file is very small. It is actually in byte, it is actually in kb, but here it is also, it is more than that. That is why what? It is not showing the difference because this size is more than this 23 size. So if you are having a big size file, then you will not see the difference, but still the size will remain same. And that means what? If you take a backup of 1 TB file, that means you need 1 TB space to store that file. Store that file, that means what? If you want to store the file into secure location, let's say for example you want to save it in a tape drive. So you want to take a backup of 1 TB file and you want to store it into a tape drive, then you need 1 TB size of tape drives, and it can be very expensive. So in that case, what we can do, when we take a backup, we should compress the file. It is not compressing these files. Tar is not compressing these files. So it is not compressing basically, and that is why you are seeing some extra size also. So what we can do, we can compress those files before storing it into tape drive. So for that, what we can do, we have a compression tools here also available in Linux, so that we can do the compression of any other file. So we have a compression tool and we can do compress these files. So why we do compression? Because after creating the backup, we have to save it into tape drive. And for the size of let's say example, for the size of 1 TB data, you may need 1 TB size of tape drive. Now it is not cost effective. So what we can do, so to save the space and and store more data in a tape drives or a backup drive, we can do what? We should compress. We should compress our tar files. So we should do what? We should compress those tar files so that we can store it into tape drives and we can save more space. Now we have, for that we have different compression tools. So we have different compressing tools in our Linux. Now for example, we have gzip and bzip. So let's see those tools first. So first we have gzip. These compression tools can compress any file. It is not just for compressing the tar file, it can compress any file. That means whatever file we have, we can apply the compression on that file. But basically we use it for the tar file so that we can store it into the tape drive. When we store it, so we can save more space. So basically we do it for that files, but we can do it for any file, but we cannot apply the compression into directories here. So those compression tools are not for directories. We can use it on any file, whether it is a normal file or a tar file, but we cannot use it on directory. It is not for directories. So if you want to use the compression tool, let's say I will use it on normal file. Let's say I will use it on this out file. It's a normal file. So for that we will use a command gzip, and then you will mention the file name which you want to compress, and when you press enter, done, it is compressed. Remember the size was what? 23428. And now when you check the file, you see now it is the size of the file. The size of file, the size was the file of the size of this file was 23428, but now the size is 2315. It has been compressed, and actually it has not created another file like tar. It is only compressed that exact file. And what it do here, it actually added this extension here, and we did not added this extension. It is added by the command. It is added by this command gzip. And why it is added this extension? It is actually just a name, so that we can differentiate between these two files. You can see this is gzip and this is tar. Both are red, and now we can say like this is what? This is a zip file, this is gzip file, and this is tar file. And how I can say this? Because I know by this extension. If it is not there, not in this and not in this, then we will not guess like what file is which file. Is it a tar file or zip file? So for that we have this extension. So it is what? It can work without this extension also. So gzip is only a name for us that we can understand it is a gzip file. So it is what? It is added by the command, and it is done by the command. It is added by the command so that we can understand it is a zip file. and it done what, it compresses the file, and now it is size of the file is reduced. And this is what I did it for the normal file. So we can do it for the normal files, and also we can do it for tar files also, because tar files are also a file. So now I will do it for this tar file. So what I will do, same gzip, and now I'm mentioning out.txt.tar, and now you can see it is also reduced, the size is also reduced, and it is added new extension into it. Now the file name is the out.txt.tar.gz, because now it is what, compress also, and you can see the size is reduced. So this is what, to compress the file. And now if you want to decompress the file, for that we will use a command gunzip, and then you will mention the file name which you have compressed. So I will do for new normal file, it is uncompressed, and I can do it for the tar file also, and now it is also uncompressed. And now when you check, now you can see the extension is removed and the size of the file is now normal. And this command is gunzip to uncompress. It is gunzip, it is actually gunzip, it is gunzip. Now you can do it for normal file, you can do it for the tar file, but you cannot do it for the directory. So if I tried it for the directory, it will give me the error. If I try to use gunzip on this data directory, it says data is a directory and I am ignoring it. So you cannot do it on directory, and that why we created this tar file. So for that directory we have a tar file, and we can do it on this tar file. So for that I will use gzip and then data.tar, and this I can do. And then you can see it is the size is very much reduced. You can see the size was this 51,200, and now the size is 6481, very much reduced. And I want to uncompress, then I will use gunzip and the name of that file and enter, and then it is back to the normal size. So this is the compression tool which we can use to compress normal files, or basically we use it for tar files, but we cannot apply this, we cannot use it for the directories. So gzip, this tool is for compressing normal files and also tar files, but it is not for directories. And after compressing it, it add the .gz extension in the file, and color of file will change to red. So do this, we can use it gzip command to do the compression, and for uncompressing it we can use gunzip command for uncompressing. Now the compression we are doing it for the tar file, so that we want to reduce the size of the tar file, so that when we save the file into tape drives or backup drives, we can store more files and save some space. Now if we want, then what we can do here, we can use the tar, this zip command, this compression command with the tar. That means at the time of taking a backup, that means when we are creating the tar file, at the time of the tar file, creation of the tar file, we can use this compression command, we can use this compression also. So if we want to use this compression with the tar file, then we can use this command. So we want to use it with the tar command, that means at the time of creating the tar file, I want to do the compression also. So I can do it with this command. So what I will do first, I will delete this file, because I'm going to create this, and again I'm going to create with the compression. So I will remove this one. So okay, now I'm not having the tar file, so I'm going to create a tar file, and also I'm going to compress it. For that I will use the command tar again. The command for creating the tar file backup file is cvf, and how we'll do this, we will mention this tar like this, and this will be the data. Now here what changes I will do here, I will add extra option here, z. Now this extra option Z is for gunzip. It is for gunzip, and that means what? It will create a tar file, and also it will do what? It will compress. Now because we are using it with the tar file, so I have to give the extension manually. Otherwise we don't know that it is compressed also. So I will give an extension GZ here manually. It will not add it automatically, remember. So I'm giving this GZ here manually. If I don't give this, if I don't give .tar, it will still work. If I don't give .gz here, .gz, it will still work. But if I don't give it, then what? I will never know that it is a tar file, and also it is compressed file. So because of that, I'm using this GZ extension also here with the .tar extension. So when I press enter now, it created the tar file. It uses the zip also to compress the file. And when you check it, now you can see here that this is our original data, and this is the tar backup file, and also it is compressed, and you can see the size. First time when I did the tar only, it was 5.1, that was 51 more than this. You can see here it was 51,200, but now when I did compress it with tar, then it is doing what? 6472. So we can use it with tar command to compress and take a backup. Now if you want to restore it, remember, for that you have to remember, you have to know that it is not only tar, it is also compressed. And that is why I have added this extension manually, because automatically it will not add. And if you see, if it is adding automatically, then it should be two extensions here, two GZs, .gz, .gz, because one I added and one automatically add, but it is not adding anything automatically. So I am adding this manually. Now I know that this is tar file, and also it is compressed. So then what, when a time comes to restore the file, so I can restore it, and also I can restore it with decompressing it. So for that, what I will do, first I will remove the original data. Now what, I will use command tar. Now for restoring, what is the option? XVF, and then we mention the file name. But here, because it is zip also, it is gzip also, I will use one extra option, Z, and it do what? It decompressed and then extract. And when you check, you can see your data is back, and the file is still remain as it is. It is not actually just decompressing it, it is remaining as it is, and also saving your current space. So you don't have to decompress and then restore it. You can just restore it without decompressing it. So this is what using compression tool with tar. So we can use this gzip with tar, and for doing that the command is what? The command is tar-zcvf to create verbosely compressed file, and you have to add the extension manually here. Then the original data here, the Z means what? Gzip. Then to restore it, you will use the same command tar-xvf, but you add extra Z option, and that Z means what? Gzip. And this is for gzip. Now we have one more compression tool here, that is bzip. And this bzip do what it do use to compress more data. That means it do more compression than gzip. Gzip do the normal compression, but bzip do what? Do advanced compression. It can do more compress. So there is what another tool we say, it is bzip 2. This will do what? It will do more compression to data. For example, we are having some data here. I will create a big file into that tar data file. So I will show you the difference of gzip and bzip. So I'm going to create a big file into it. So again I'm doing sequence and I'm adding some big number into a data directory, and I will put some big number file, some big number. Okay, let's do it on file so that we can understand easily. Okay, let's check the size of this file. Okay, the size of this file is big. Let's check what is the exact size of the file. Okay, it is 76 MB. Now if you use gzip on it, so it will compress the data, but if you use bzip, it will do more compression. The commands are same, everything is same like gzip, but bzip do what? It do more compression. Let's see that. First I will do what? I will compress this same file, this file, with gzip. So gzip and the file name. Now whether it is a tar file or anything, we just want to see that how much compression it took. Both are the same thing, both are the compression. And now it is taking a little time because the file size is bigger than normal KBs. Okay, now let's check what is the size. Okay. Okay, now it becomes 21 MB. So it was 76 MB. Now when I compress it with the gzip, it becomes 21 MB. Now I will decompress. So gunzip and then this file name. Now it goes back to normal size. So ls-lh, this file name. Now it is back to again 76 MB. Now remember, it was 21 MB when I use gzip. Now I will use bzip. Now bzip do what? It will do more compression. So for using the bzip, command is bzip 2, and then the way we do it's same. Then you mention the file name. Simple. And now it is taking a time to do the compression. And now let's check the file again. What will be the size? And it add the extension called .bz2. When we do the gzip, it add extension of .gz, and when we do bzip 2, it add the extension of bz2. Now what is the size? Now you see the size is now 11 MB. When we use the gzip, it was 21 MB, it becomes 21 MB, but when I use bzip, it becomes 11 MB. That means what? This bzip 2 is doing more compression. For decompressing the file, it is same. We'll use bunzip 2. Now bunzip means be unzip, and then your zip file name, your compress file name. And it will do what? It will decompress it. And when you check the size now, back to 74 MB. So this bzip bzip 2 is also compressing tool like gzip, but only the difference is what, but it do more compression than gzip. That means it will do more compression, and it will add what, it will add dot bz2 extension in the file, and the file name will be, so it add what, extension bz2, and also the color will also be the red color, and it will do more compression than gzip. Now just like the gzip, we used it with the tar command, we can use this bzip also with the tar command. That means at the time of taking the tar backup, we can use this bzip command to compress that backup also, compress that backup file also. So if we want to do that, then very simple, just like the gzip command, what we'll do here, so we can use this bzip2 also with tar command at the time of using the backup, creating the backup. Just like the gzip command, we can use it the same way. And what we do here, we use the tar command, and the option we use to take is j option. When we are taking it the backup, we add the extension manually here, like this .bz2. Here the j means what, bzip2, and when you want to restore it again, you can use j option here with the normal option, and that means what, bzip2. So that is what, when we want to use it with the tar command. So for example, let's take this again, this one. So I will remove this gzip one first again, rm-rf data.gz file. Now I will take it with the bzip. So for that I will use tar command -jvcvf, and this time with tar I will add the extension bz2 manually, and then original data name. Now it is taking the backup, and also it is using the compression tool bzip2, and you can see the color is red, and also we have added the extension. Now if you want to decompress it, then what, we will use again tar and -jxvf, and then first I will remove the original data, and then I can use tar -jxvf and the name of that file, and it is now restored with the gzip, with the bzip compression. So now we have what, system links. We can say it is what, symlink. Now symlinks is what, it is actually a link file. So basically it is what, it is a link files. Link files, we can assume it, or we can take it as a, or we have already seen it actually, we can say it is a shortcut files in Windows machine. So in Windows machine, or and even in a Linux machine also, if you see on the graphical side, if you see the GUI on the desktop side, when you go to the desktop, you will see the link files, those having the small arrow symbol in those icons. That is what a link file. It is basically called a link file. In Windows we call it shortcut, but it is actually what, it is actually a link file. But here in Linux we have two types of link. But in Linux we have two types of link file. We have two types of link files, and that is what one is what soft link, and the second one is hard link. Now when we talk about soft link, so when we talk about soft link, so this is actually what this is basically, this is same like a desktop shortcut files in so this is what it's the same like a Windows shortcut, we can say, where what the file is just a link, it is not a original file. That means it is just a link, not a original file. So when you click, when you open this link file, you open actually, it opens actually the original file. So it opens original file. Now the problem is when you delete the original file. So when you delete the original file, you can create multiple links. All the link files will be corrupt. And not usable. That means it will be corrupt and we cannot use it, and not usable. And this is what it is, a soft link. So how we'll do this, how we'll create this? So we can create this. To create this soft link, we use a command called ln command with the option S. Now with the option S, it will do what? Create the soft link. Now here you have to mention the source and the destination, just like we do copy or move command. That means the source, that means the file which you want to create a link, and the destination means where you want to create the file, create the link, create the shortcuts. So what you will do here, you will write here source and file, source with the file name, and then you will mention the destination where you want to create the link, and then link file. And also what you can do, you can create with the same name, or even you can create with the different name. So I will say here link name. So whether you want, you can create it with the same name, or if you like, then you can create it with the different name also. So it is on you which name you want. You want the same exact name, or you want a different name. But the option is what? ln-s is for the soft link. There is one more problem here. Whenever you creating soft link or hard link, always use absolute path. Absolute path, because what? There is a condition here for soft link and hard link. There is a condition that suppose you want to create a soft link. So if you want to use the local path, then you can use the local path only from the source. From the source, that means if you are sitting on the source, then you can use a local path, and for destination path you can use the absolute path. And if you are creating the hard link, then you can use a local path only from the destination. That means if you're sitting on the destination and then you're creating the hard link, so you can use a local path for destination, not for source. So don't get into it, always use absolute path. So whenever you are creating soft link or hard link, always use absolute path. So whenever you create any, or we can say soft link or hard link, use absolute path. So always use absolute path so that you will not get any problem. So that is why I am giving here absolute path. Now let's see how we can do this. So we have some files here and I want to create a link for that file. Let's say I want to create this file's link number, or okay, not that, I want to create a link for this out file. So what I will do, I will use absolute path for both source and destination. The command is ln-s is for the soft link, then the file is under /root and the file name is this out.txt. Now I want to create the link on desktop, so root desktop. Now if I don't give a name here, then it will go for the same name, just like we use it in copy or move command. And if I want to give a different name, then I will mention a different name here, and it will do what? It will create a link with a different name. So when I press enter, it created the link on a desktop. We can verify by checking on a desktop, and here we can see this file, and you can see the small arrow icon, and that is like a Windows shortcut. So it is a file here on the desktop. Now we can create it with another name also if I want. So I will give another name here, o.txt. It is the same file, I am just mentioning the different name. Again, if you check on the desktop, it created one more file. Where is it? It's here, o.txt. But both the files are same. Now if I want to create in another location, again I can do it. For example, I want to create it under mnt with the same name or even another name, ot.txt. I can create it in another directories, like I want to create it under document, root documents with the same name. So I created multiple links, and this is what soft link. So we checked graphically, and it looks like this. Now if you want to check it from command line, then you can check it by using this ls command. Now I will check on desktop. Now you will see these two files, you can see, and the color of these two files are sky blue, and that color means what? It is a link file, and it indicates this soft link. And if you see in detail, this is what I use ls command, but if I use it with ll, then you can see, not here, ll on desktop, so then you can see the actual path of those files also. It is showing that this is the name of the link file, but the actual file is here and with this name. And also you change with the same name, whether you have same name or different name, the original file is same here. We created it under the document also, this is the one, and also we created under MNT, and that is also the same. And the original file is what? It is under my roots home directory. So these are the different link files and the original file we can see. Now what is the difference in these files? If you see these files, the original file, if you see the original file, it is in normal color, and those link files are in sky blue color, so we can understand it's a link file. One more difference you can see here is that you can see L here, and that means what? It is mentioning the type, it is link file. And one more thing you can see is the size. These link files are in same size, but they are not the exact size of the file. The file size is this, but this link file size is this. Because why? Because they are not original file, they are just having a information about the original file, that where is the original file. So it is not having the full size of those original file. But if I add anything into any of this link file, it will be added into original file, because if I open the link file, so basically it will open the original file. So if I edit anything in this link files, it will add it into original file, and original file means it will be seen in all the link files. So for example, I will add something. I will check the file under MNT. This is the file, and we have something like this in that file. So I will add something in that file under MNT, and it's a link file. So what I will add, I'm adding at the end these lines 999 88888. So I added these two lines here, and I added into this link file. Now when I check the original file, we can see the line is there, and if I see any link file, the one which is on desktop, I can see the lines there also. The one which is in the document directory, the line is still there, because when you added anything in any file, it is actually adding into original file. Now the problem is when you delete the original file. So when you delete the original file, it will delete what? It will corrupt all the links. So let's delete the original file. Now I deleted the original file. Now when you check the link, let's check the graph, let's check it graphically. We have two link files here for that file. It is not showing anything, but when I refresh it, you can see the arrow is gone. And now if I try to open it, it says broken, you cannot open it. You want to move it to trash, that means it's saying you want to delete it, then it is just saying that there is no, it is not exist, and you can only delete it, but you cannot open it. And in the command line also, if you check on the desktop, you can see it is showing dark red. That means it is corrupt and we cannot open it. Under MNT also, it is not running, it is corrupt. Under document directory also, it is corrupt, and now we cannot see or we cannot open those files which is under MNT or any other directory. So all links are now invalid and corrupt, and that is what this soft link. So this is the soft link, at which same as the desktop shortcut we can create with the ln-s option. Always use the absolute path. So it is just a location of the original file, so it is not having a original size of the file. So if you add anything in the any link file, that means you are adding it into the original file, and if you delete the original file, all the links will be corrupt and unusable. Now this is what the soft link, and next we will see the hard link, and that we will see next time.